Hello and welcome back to The Stage Door, presented by Canberra Arts on Rogers TV, right here in Corner Brook. This week I'm very excited to have Geraldine Hollett joining us at The Stage Door. Welcome to The Stage Door, Geraldine. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh my God, anytime.
Jerry has some interesting projects coming up that are a bit of a departure and also, I guess, a bit of a homecoming in ways to find yourself as a writer and sharing that theatrical experience and getting to dive into that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I'm doing a little residency up at the RAC, the Rotary Arts Center, and I get to write a play, and I'm writing about my life down in the Bath-and-Bjorn, Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada, and growing up, and the uncomplicated, complicated ways that we live, and it's just about finding, I don't know, something to connect with. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is yet. It's in its final. It's in its final of the first reiteration, I guess. But I just feel like in life, if we can find something that we can connect with, that gives us a feeling of calm and peace in ourselves, then that's better than what you're seeing out there in the world these days. And so, I'm not saying that that's been my life's work or anything, because clearly it's been about music, but it is about within myself realizing is like peace might not be part of the big picture, but it can be part of the small picture, and that's where I come from as an artist, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful way of putting it, right? We need to find those small pictures, because right now, you know, the way of the world is, you know, social media allows us to see a lot more things regularly, whether we want to or not, and it's great to be informed, but it's a lot to take in.
And for 2 years we were shoved inside, and that's all we did.
Yeah.
So we got a good little, our brains are wired to think and to go find, and to always get our phone, like
yeah.
There are times that I take my phone and I throw it across the room. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
There's a life to live.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so easy to find yourself in those situations. So let's go back to before that, and before we dive in a little deeper to what the show is and what the process has been behind it. You know, you've had a lot of different journeys artistically, whether in theater or whether in music, in musical theater. All of those things kind of coming together. But where would you say your artistic journey began? What's the roots?
Oh my God.
Tough question.
Well, I don't think it is, because I've been thinking about this for so much for this, because when you're thinking about your whole life and stuff, but I think as a little girl, I remember watching Anne Murray or Loretta Lynn or Dolly Parton, mostly that style of music, and I remember going, they're so beautiful when they sing, and I remember feeling so much, like there's so many songs that make me feel so much, and still to this day, that I always knew I wanted something in that world, in the world of music or in the world of creating, and I don't even think I had the words for it at that point. But I remember I found drama in high school as well, and I was like, I can sing and I can act and I can be this something bigger than a small town person, which, you know, as a kid maybe you feel like a little stifled in that little role. It's like I'm just someone who lives in a little village with a whole lot of fishermen who do what they do, but what do I do and what do I want to do? And I kind of want it to be big in a world where you're kind of, not that you're trying to be small, but why would you, like, your imagination is growing and growing and growing and huge, because I grew up in a town of 16 houses, so there's a few people around that I could hang out with, but for the most part I was just in here all the time. And so when I found that, it was like, oh, I have a place to just express, and I didn't even know I needed to express. And then I was like, well, what are you going to do for university? And I was like, well, I'm going to do theater, and I did it here in Corner Brook. And I remember the first year going, oh, I don't think that this is going to work out for me. I'm not odd enough, I thought. But because that's how I saw it. It's like, all these people they're so big and wonderful, and they're so full of expression and life. And I just remember thinking, oh, well, I'm not that. And then over the years, I just came right out of my shell, and I loved it so deeply. And then the band started out while I was working in theater out in Trinity, and so we're doing a lot of dinner theater and a lot of singing around the town and stuff. We ended up being shoved together for an event, and then we've been playing for the last 20 years. So I've kind of, because that path just laid itself out, and it's been so easy to just go. It's been a long time since I thought about theater. Like, there's been a couple little things here and there that I've glommed onto and be like, oh, I'll do some voiceover for this, or I'll do a little, somebody wanted me for this part, so I'll do that. But it was always like drips and drabs here and there. Mm-hmm. Nothing that I could sink my teeth into. And when I'm out on the road with the Once, because that's the band that I'm in, we go out and we play a lot in certain smaller theaters. There's a lot of black box theaters. Certain towns, and in those theaters, I'm reminded of Grenfell and that theater, and just the way you can tell a story, and your love for story. And I kept finding my stories getting longer and longer before a song, and I was like, I really have some. I really feel like I need to do this. And when I moved back here in 2019, it just sewed it all up for me, and I was like, I feel like this is a bit of coming home, and this is where I'm safe, and this is where I should do it, and it has to be here, or where else am I going to do it? And so then the residency came up, and I applied, and when it came up, I applied, and that was it, and here I am.
Well, I mean, it certainly, it solidifies what we know at the Stage Door, which is that Corner Brook is a hub. It is a breeding ground for fostering creativity, partnership, and growth. Mm-hmm. There are just so many wonderful opportunities.
Well, it's people like you that make sure that it happens. You know what I mean? Like, that's incredible.
It's
to
a
keep
privilege.
fostering it for life. It's great.
Yeah, it is. And with Canberra Arts, our 4 pillars are creation, innovation, education, and presentation. Mm-hmm. And that's what kept us alive through COVID and the pandemic, when things were closed, and there was a lot less presentation, because that was the real one that got kind of kicked out from underneath, and that made creation a lot harder as well. Mm-hmm. We had to become innovative with how we were doing our education. So those things lined up with how to, we had access to Zoom, but then you have to figure out how to make that work for theater, and how to reach people in an area that you're
so it
together.
Doesn't glitch.
It was certainly a journey in that time, but I think that's exactly it. Just last week on the Stage Door, we had Kate Sanders, who had a bit of a homecoming being here and doing a show that she had always wanted to do with a group of people from this community in the public park as a free show. And I think that's just an amazing thing to be able to put that together. And she's in Birmingham in the UK, and where could she do that thing? Here at home in Corner Brook.
And it feels like magic, a little bit of magic.
It really is, and we had Elizabeth Jansen as well, who again from Corner Brook has been working in Texas for 13 years and came here with her colleague to premiere a piece about this place called The Rock. Premiering that piece written by a composer from the UK who had spent time here, so it has a special
loved it
weight,
so deeply, loved it.
Which is just amazing. So I think it's so great to hear that, that homecoming for you, of course Buren's still home too, but so
it's
is
different.
Here.
It's different. There's no one there there's a few people there, but it was such a small community anyway. So it was like, as it gets older, like there are people there that I truly love, but if I see them, it's rare, because my mom moved away, everybody's moved away that's like immediate to me, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel the same. Like now when I think about it, my memories of it are of this little community in the fog that I know where things live because I've seen it so often, but Fog and the Wind were the soundtrack to my life, and it just feels like a set piece to my life, as opposed to, because what Corner Brook became, and like that's a place that I got to be who I am and have the imagination, and I'll always love it dearly. But if I went back, the shop doesn't even exist there anymore. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. That's where you could work. It's like, what would I do there besides just sit on the end of the fishing stage and go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have anything for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that as a kid as well. So here is like, where can I fit in? And here you can go, like, you're not, because I lived in Toronto and I lived in Winnipeg and I lived Edmonton and Vancouver and I lived those places, and I was like, I just felt like little, and not that I need to feel important, but we need to feel a sense of self. And though in those places I couldn't feel it, when I'm in Corner Brook, my sense of self is.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I think that's a beautiful way to put it. You know, having grown up in Meadows across the bay, that's close to Corner Brook. So Corner Brook was certainly a key area in my youth, especially as an artist, to be able to be in youth theatre with Theatre Newfoundland Labrador. My life was forever changed by those opportunities. Yeah. But you know, it is interesting. I go home to visit Mom and Dad in Meadows, and I'm thankful that I was able to grow there. Yeah. But I know that, you know, through those trips to Corner Brook every night of the week and showtime, I grew to really consider this an artistic path, my home, journey in that way.
Beautiful.
You know, I think it. And I think being from Meadows helped me step into the role I am in now, with the desire to keep pushing for more, keep expanding, you know, and giving opportunities to those schools. I've been able to go back to Templeton twice with Art Smarts, and that was just so special to bring something that wasn't there. And I think that's what we all do as artists in a way, is we look at the world and we fill in what we wish we had. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to do and be in a position to be able to do that, you know. And like you said, talking about the once, you know, that's been a long journey now, and an evolutionary journey of you as a trio, of I'm sure you all as individuals. You know, Phil is your partner in life and music, and
still like
Andrew's
each
been
other.
a friend, and you still like each other, and Andrew's been a friend for.
Well, since then, right?
Pretty incredible. And thinking on that, just before we talk more about this show and the solo journey you've been on, what has it been like with the Once, thinking back to that first album that was largely cover material, some from friends, some from traditional music, to expanding and changing genres, to writing different styles, but then very recently recording here in Corner Brook and releasing some re-recordings of some of that early material up to the current. So it's a very interesting thing with that acoustic volume Once that you did. So
you know where that came? Okay, let's see. How much time do we have?
I know, hey?
So we started in a long time ago. Andrew and I we became friends through the band, through music, and myself and Phil became friends through theater school here. And we all, Phil and I were in a relationship before the band started. When we started, we were out in Trinity, so there was only traditional music that was on our periphery. That was it. That's what we were doing. And it was Old English or Old Irish or some Newfoundland stuff as well. And I don't even, it's so weird to think, like, we just did a show at a necessity because the artistic director was like, we have a show tonight, you're all in it. What songs do you know, or recitations or whatever? And we're like, oh. And so Phil and I had worked together in school and sang there together. And myself and Andrew in a previous year had done a song, Three Fishers, I think, together, that I had done up in Cowhead. And then Andrew and Phil worked together one summer. And so we were like, okay, and I remember going out with lyrics on my hand. It's like, we're doing this show tonight. And then it was like, if that happens again, we got to keep doing this, because I don't want to ever feel that panic ever again. It's not good for you. It's fine when you're young. When you get older, you don't want to do it. Actually, I don't even think it's fine when you're not young. I think it does something. But then, so as the years progressed, we started going, okay, well, we should start writing our own stuff. And then Amelia Curran gave us a song, and we, you know, ended up doing the Feast of Cohen and some Laird Cohen songs. So when that album actually came about, it was like we only knew a handful of songs, and we put everything on the record. And then it went from we put the record out, someone gave us money to do it, and then a label came down looking for us, and we're like, what is happening? And then we ended up doing another album with the label, and it was like, it was just like everything was tumbling, and we were just go, and we're out like 3 to 6 months at a time, just touring. And then it was like time to think. It's like, who are we? What are we? What do we want to do? So by the time we put out a Christmas record in 2012, that's when we started writing. Believe it or not, it was like that's when we're like, oh, okay, what do we want to write? So there's 4 originals on that, and some of them were like traditional style and country. It's like, but we're still discovering who we are. We're still discovering. If you listen to all the records, which we did recently for fun, you can see the progression. Mm-hmm. Like when we get to our We Win Some, We Lose EP, it's like these are, and at the time, and Phil still gets hurt by it, but I was like, these are like the rejects, but he's like, that hurts. I was like, I know, I can see why it would hurt. But now when I look at it, it's like, no, these were, and I just couldn't accept it at the time. This is where we're going. Because I was afraid to veer away from, I was afraid, right? But I was also excited, and I was like, usually, because every time I'm afraid of something, usually it's not I always feel really good about where it lands. I'm always like, I'm sorry, I pushed so hard in the opposite direction and that I was wrong. So now I'm just like, let's try, who knows, you know, I try to let that stuff go. So then now our most recent record, because we've done a few in the middle of those two, our most recent record we did during the pandemic, and it is just soft, atmospheric, thoughtful, pensive music for people to just have in the background, and if they need some words to have a listen to glom onto, they can do that too. But it is about the atmosphere and the feeling, whereas before it was like, we need to throw everything on this as much as possible. Like, well, make it as big as every harmony you can think of. And with this one, it's like, no, let's just think about where we want to be and what actually serves the song. That kind of art. But it worked out, and it was really beautiful. The funny thing, you mentioned the acoustic volume once, we call it. When we went to Denmark in 2022, a lady came in with our Time Enough record, and she was like, I listened to you, and I listened to this. This is not you. This is not what you sound like live. And we're like, I'm sorry. At least she made an impression on us. Or when it was it, I can't even remember when it was. But anyway, maybe it was 2019. I can't remember when we were there. Anyway, she was not impressed. So we came back and we're like, when pandemic happened, then we were like, we were doing this. Oh yeah, so it had to be before then. 2020, geez, maybe I'm getting the wrong spot. Which happens all the time. If I don't have the guys to tell me, no, that was in this such and such a place, and this was like all the things can't completely form around me, but they're not here. Anyway, so you're just going to have to accept whatever's coming out of my mouth. But I remember being on stage, and we were just like, well, let's do acoustic versions of all the stuff that we love the most. Like, let's just pick volume 1 once. So there is a plan for volume twice and thrice.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know if
first
I ever
one
have.
was a pun, but the next ones you really signed on for something.
But I don't know if it's ever going to happen. That was the joke at the time.
I think you should do volume once the second.
Yeah.
You know, just
sure, just really confused me. But this year we're putting out a Christmas EP, and we're calling it Fallen Tree Side B. So next year we'll put out Side A.
Oh, there we go. I think
so it's just being clever. Now, but whether we actually do it or not.
I think that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
So thanks for that in-depth look.
We have to
now
go.
We got a whole 5 minutes to talk about what's coming up next. So we will do it efficiently.
Yeah.
Luckily, we alluded to it before, but you know, it's so wonderful to have a space to write and a space to create through these Rotary Arts Centre residencies, and there's a lot more of that happening on the West Coast between the Rotary Arts Centre and at Canberra Arts as well. We're both these separate organizations are working to bring more opportunity to create. You know, just last spring,
It's beautiful.
not long ago at all. You know, Artistic Fraud was out here in Corner Brook in our space, working with artists like yourself and myself
Yeah.
to build a new musical. So what an amazing thing that Corner Brook can be part of that journey and part of the journey of this one-woman show. So it's pretty daunting. You kind of said what it's about, but what has the process been like to reflect on your own life, but also think of what you are offering to the world right now through that?
You know, it's really funny. I used to think being inside my head was kind of a oddly unsafe, unwell place. Because you live in there and you're listening to your own thoughts. But what I'm discovering is that I have a really solid, beautiful foundation, and the cracks, you can just fill in with all the best stuff. Like, so I'm finding it, I'm giggling a lot, and I'm grateful a lot for the people that were in my life at the time. And because nobody knows what they're at. Nobody knows what they're at as kids. And then when you grow up, like, we're all just trying to figure it out. And if we all actually just try to do the best we can, there's a lot of love and acceptance and forgiveness that can come into play for the things that you feel like you were wronged by, which I'm lucky that I didn't have that much of that stuff. But I'm feeling good about it, and I'm feeling like I just went to my foundation and found all the cracks and just really fixed them all. That's what it feels like. And it's really nice. And I recommend anyone do it.
Hey, so it's restorative
yeah,
as much as
it's restorative. But I also came at it ready to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came at it ready. So.
And I think you have to be, you know, especially when you're doing semi-autobiographical work, you need to be ready to share that and let yourself take the journey. You don't know where it's going to end necessarily.
It kind of feels like an improv piece sometimes. I'll be reading it out and I'm like, oh, you just added something else and you've got to go put it in. It's like, because it always fires up something new in me every time I think about it. But I guess that's what writing is. But yeah, it's fun.
It's certainly amazing. It's wonderful that, you know, not only is this residency a writing space, but you're also able to present it.
I know.
Which is also intimidating, wonderful and scary.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it is where it is, I think is the other thing to note with anything. You know, this residency is not the whole process, but it's a process.
Thank you for that.
That is part of it. You know, and I think that's great. Scary, but
it
great.
It is what it is. Yeah.
So what, you know, when you're presenting this next week, October 15th, at the Rotary Arts Centre, and what do you want to share? What do you want the audience to take away from this?
A few giggles. A little. I don't know. I just want them to feel like they've come to a place where they feel comfortable, and they can laugh and just follow a little journey through my life. The way I remember it, I recognize like the way I remember it is not going to be the most accurate, but it's how I became who I am. And it's not necessarily just about me. I'm just going to throw out, like, I don't want people to come and this is what I did and this is, you know, it's not just about that. It's about how the people in my life, the decisions that they made really made me think about who I am, because the way they could be so accepting and loving and caring and giving and kind and hurt, and they felt everything. And because I was there to bear witness to it, I became who I am. And I'm really proud of those people for being who they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess I want them to feel that somehow so they can go,
I was part of that. And I think that's a great gift, you know. It's important that we take the time to reflect. So again, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to wrap things up now. And we do have a couple other things coming up. A lot is happening at the Rotary Arts Centre actually this week as well. Friday, October 10th, the Craig Young Trio, brilliant group of musicians doing a tribute to Don Williams at 8 p.m. Still tickets available for that. That's
Cool.
going to be a treat. October 11th, Lauren Brinson's doing a net making workshop at the library. That is free. It's 1:30. Lauren's an incredible visual artist, and this is a traditional art form. However, the bad news is that's already sold out. But the Rotary Arts Centre does have a series of these workshops at the library. Well worth checking those out when they're available. It's well worth trying to go. And October 11th, that evening, Quote the Raven is in Corner Brook. A great duo, beautiful harmonies. Well worth checking that out as well. And of course, October 15th, Soft and Sunny Sadness, presented by Geraldine Hollett at the end of this workshop. So going to be a real treat. Stay tuned as well. The Arts and Culture Centre has some things coming up. Country show is coming, making its way in. And at Canberra Arts, we have a lot going on as well. Of course, Graham Academy is in full swing, but at the end of the month, we're bringing home Wendy Woodland. Of course, Wendy's no stranger to Corner Brook. She only just left, but we had to bring her back, and she's working with our youth, grade 1 all the way to grade 12, and presenting a very intimate show featuring some of those incredibly talented young people along with Wendy. It's going to be happening twice because it's going to be pretty full, I think. So get your tickets as soon as they go on. That's October 25th at 110 Humber Road. Tickets available online at canberraarts.ca or call our box office. So lots coming up, and that's not all, I should say. There's even more beyond that. So on behalf of Canberra Arts, I do want to thank our gold level sponsors, which are White and George and Harper Financial, with whom none of the things we do would be possible. Stay tuned this month for an episode of Not News from our youth at Graham Academy, working here with Rogers TV. And thanks as always to Geraldine, and thanks for you for tuning in. See you next week at the stage door.